Cool. Well, the last thing I wanted to do is this lightning round. Every time you have a guest on, you do a lightning round. So I wanted to throw it back at you. First thing that comes to mind, I don't want you to overthink it. I just want you to say it and live with it.
Okay.
Okay? Favorite guest of all time?
Cannot answer that question. There's no way I could pick, like, I know this is rapid. This is what happens with mine.
This isn't how you do rapid fire, Jake.
No. And that's why I used to call my questions rapid fire.
Yeah.
But then I switched it. I just called it Q&A now. And like,
yeah.
they're not questions, but like, I could never pick my favorite guest of all time.
First guest that comes to mind when you think of your podcast then? Doesn't have to be your favorite. What just stands out right away?
First guest that comes to mind. I want to say Joey Kidney, just because that's probably the one that gets brought up to me the most.
Love it.
But because he's probably he's in terms of following the biggest one I've had thus far.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Best story you've ever had on your podcast?
Best story I've ever had.
Just comes to mind, yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know. The first story that comes to mind that someone told me.
If I came up to you and said, hey, what's a story that's been on your podcast? What would be the first one you'd tell me?
I would probably ask you what you're interested in first. Like the one that comes to mind, like there's a couple different ones.
Yeah.
The Darren Pang one where he got into a bar fight was one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Which like he told me about this, and this is the only problem, which is why I want to do twice a week. So I know I'm going on a tangent again. But so Darren Pang tells me a couple of stories. I'm like, these are awesome.
Yeah.
Goes on Spit and Chicklets a month later. My podcast is coming out in like 2 weeks and tells like half the stories, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I can't like. Obviously, like, so that's where I'm like, maybe if I post twice a week, if they're coming out more frequently, so it's like I can be more current.
Yeah.
Like I interviewed a guy.
Or you should just said fucking posted it right there. Everyone's searching Darren Pang podcast.
Yeah. But which was that mind, like, because like I interviewed a guy that took a bunch of awesome shots from the Raptors playoff run.
Yeah,
and
I remember
posted
that.
it a month after the playoff run ended. So it's like if I post that like right after it ends, maybe it does a little better. So that's just a reason. But another story, like it was Lindsay Messler talking about someone squirting on her podcast. It was Lindsay Messler talking about someone talking about squirting on her podcast. I remember both of us in the room were like,
yeah, we're like, this is interesting. My social life podcast content.
Oh no, this is the story.
Okay.
This is probably one of my favorite stories, like the one that sticks out to me the most. I remember like I listened back to it so many times. It was Caleb talking about, it was in one of the getting to the end of the podcast, and he's talking about Gary, because I asked him like, do you ever reflect, like, you got Crush It when you were 16, you read it, and now you work for Gary? I was like, do you ever think about that? And he goes, I try to every single day. And he goes, like, I just can think back to me like barely making it. He's like sitting at home watching Gary videos. He's like barely making it, and he's like, and now I'm here. And like I just get chills every time I hear that story. It's like that's one that really comes to mind. I don't know what, it's just, and it wasn't just the story, it was the way he delivered it, the way he said like barely making it, and he like did emotion with it as well. Like that one just really stood out to me.
Wow,
it was cool.
That's amazing. Most shocking tactic someone's ever said on your show that they use on social media?
I don't know if it was shocking, but the one that made me laugh, it didn't make me laugh, but it was Consumed by Carlo talking about printing off print advertisements for his Instagram and hanging them up at popular tourist spots, being like popular Ottawa food blog or something like that. Hanging them up. Like that was one that really stood out to me.
Amazing. Best feedback you've ever got?
Best feedback. I got some recently from a guest that's coming up who she said, you remind me of, I can't remember her name and my phone is recording. She's like, you remind me of this person. Like I've recently started listening to this person who reminded me of her. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I Google this person's name, and it's like the first hit is like a little bio thing, and it's like the best interviewer of our generation.
No way.
And I was like, that's cool. Like I replied, I was like, holy shit, thank you. Like I've never heard of this girl. She's like, me neither. She's interviewed over 1,000 people. She's considered one of the best people. Like one of the best
incredible.
She's like, just the way like you talk and like your delivery. And like, and I was like, that's really cool. So there's that one. The Narbar one was pretty cool. Yeah. And did I show you a video of him? You told me about him.
I told you about him, and you saw it. Okay.
Yeah, actually, no, you did show me.
Okay.
And then the other one is, I think you said it. I've gotten, what's his name? Oh, Sean. Sean
from...
He's the host of Hot Ones.
Hot Ones, yeah.
I know it's Sean. I can see him.
Yeah, bald guy.
Yeah.
Sean Evans.
Thank you. Sean Evans. Yeah. I've gotten that one. And like, I don't, like, people say we sound the same, and I don't think we sound the same. I think our delivery is the same. In some respects. Yeah, your voice isn't the same tone. Yeah. But your delivery's, you're bang on. That's exactly it. So last lightning round, biggest takeaway from this journey so far? If you could sum it up. Oh, that's a tough one. This is weird being on the other side of these questions. Like I always ask people these words and they're like, whoa. biggest takeaway from the podcast? There's a couple that come to mind.
Do it.
Like,
I want to hear them all.
Like, people are just people is one.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't really get the like, holy shit, like I'm talking to this person.
Big celebrity answer. I'll tell you that for free, Jacob.
But yeah, people are just people is a big one. Another one is just start.
Yes.
Just start's a big one.
Oh my God, dude. Like, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm meeting people, they're asking me, should I? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
You should try something and figure out if it's right or wrong. And then if it's wrong, try something, figure out if it's right or wrong, try something. Just start, just go. Stop
start.
asking.
Like, I sat on the podcast for months before I started it.
100%.
Like, I got some gear for Christmas, and then I remember I recorded this 10-minute like about me thing when I didn't have a name. I was gonna call it Jack Sound, actually. That's what I was gonna call it, because my thing at the time was I had an Instagram, I had a sports, before I started this, I had a vlog channel, and then I had a sports show on YouTube called Jack Sports, where I talked about like sports news. And then I like stopped doing that one, and then I did another like kind of vlog channel. But I was gonna make Jack my thing, which is my initials, JK. And then like Hallie got me a shirt that has the logo I had on it. She got the font and everything. Like, she got me a shirt. This is gonna call it Jack Sound. And there's like, if you go to Anchor, there's like somewhere you can find it. It's like, but I don't like, Anchor fucks with me. I can't figure it out. And I screwed it up when I uploaded it. Yeah. And so there's only like the last like 15 seconds didn't come down. So there's like still part of it out there. And that was trash, and I didn't like it. And then I didn't really have I was like, I don't want to interview people, but I don't know what it's going to look like. And then I finally had like, I work in social media. And like the thought process behind it was I was going to make this podcast so that I can learn. Yeah. Like, I'm going to learn from these people so that I can apply it to my YouTube and grow. And the podcast is my thing now. I don't even do YouTube right now. The other one, I had one, a really good one.
I like Just Start though, because even for me, there's something that I haven't even said publicly on the record that I've been meaning to do for like way too long, that now I can safely say it's a procrastination. I'm not meaning to do it anymore, and it's start an e-com store. Yeah. I've been meaning to do it forever, and I want to put it on the record, so I force myself to do it. Like, by the end of the year, I plan to do it sooner. Yeah. But if I don't have it by the end of the year, like, I owe you a steak dinner, because I need something at this point to force me, because I've been procrastinating so long. Yeah. So Just Start. That's something that I'm going to apply.
I remember the last
one. And what's the last one?
Is don't be afraid to make changes.
Yes, because that was something you struggled with in the beginning.
And now, like, I go back and I'm like, I've changed my clips so many different times. Yeah. I'm even right now debating changing what the cover of the podcast looks like. Yeah. I'm debating changing it from, obviously, if I do make this change, you won't see it for probably 2 months because the end slates are all the current podcast cover. For sure. But I'm debating making it me holding a phone out with the social media logos on it. Mm-hmm. Because I love my Polaroids. I think that's great. And I will never stop taking the Polaroid photos. Mm-hmm. But the Polaroid photo on the cover doesn't really tell you what the podcast is 100%. About. I want to make it so when you look at the cover, you go, oh, this is about like Instagram and YouTube. And like, because right now people don't get that. So
with like a growth sign through it, I'd say.
Yeah, something like that.
Social media growth, image wise. Yeah. And then you holding it out as the host.
Yeah. So I'm debating making that switch. So yeah, but don't be afraid to make changes. And like the way I've kind of like told people, and people are talking to me about this. Yeah. I said it on a podcast recently. It should be out by the time that this one's out. Like, I was a guest on another podcast, and I was like, humble flag. People are always like afraid to make changes because like my audience, like they're gonna be like thrown off. Like, people aren't gonna realize. And I'm, what audience? Yeah. Like, I don't have a crazy audience. I'm gonna make a change. No one's really gonna notice. No one's gonna care if they do. 100%, man. And if people notice, great. 4 people noticed of my like small audience right now, right? So it's like, make the changes because you make it a bigger deal.
And when you break it down, it's really value based, right? If you change the logo, no one's gonna stop listening to the podcast because you changed the logo. If you change the amount of value you're bringing, they're gonna, right? And I always use the example of Gary recording clips in an alleyway and getting millions of plays. It's because he's providing the same amount of value as if he wasn't a production studio. Like, it doesn't matter the location, the imagery, the lighting, like, it's the value at the end of the day, right? People want that knowledge. Mm-hmm.